Ding dong.
Who's there?
It's Diminishing Returns.
Hello and welcome to the exciting culmination of Keanuvember on Diminishing Returns.
Yay.
So yes, of course, I am Sol, that is Alan, and
Hello.
we have hello Alan, and we have some very exciting guests joining us this week. We have, so I'm going to try and get all the names here. Currently, Nightmares from the Discotheque, formerly Massive Horse, comedy rock band, made up of Rick Schaple and Canz Rickman. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
That's fine. We're not a comedy band, actually.
Oh my god.
Music is very serious. I mean, everything that we write about, it's all real stuff. It's all things that have actually happened to us. Yeah, comedy. Drama music, really. That's weird.
We
What do you
do
think about
drama pop.
We're going to do drama pop, dramatic pop. We're a dramatic pop band.
But anyway, thank you for having us on.
Oh no, thanks so much for being here. For our listeners, many songs out there worth checking out. You have songs all about classic 80s movies like Die Hard.
Yep. Maybe a Die Hard 2. We were talking, literally, before we came on today, we thought, wouldn't it be great if every year now we just did a different song at Christmas for the Die Hard ones? We were literally talking about possibly a second Die Hard song.
And we'll just be that band that does one Die Hard song a year.
Absolutely.
we're just gonna say,
other than doing the music stuff, we're doing lots of sort of like TV pilots at the moment, various different things. So yeah, we've been developing TV pilots with some various channels at the moment, which is very, very exciting.
So maybe
behind the scenes, lots of the things that we've been doing, even though we haven't kind of shown a lot, we've just been doing a lot of kind of TV kind of projects that has taken up our time.
and the last thing I wanted to add is that we are now paranormal investigators. We got a new show called Drunk Ghost Investigations, and you can watch it on YouTube.
Come on, spirits, talk to us.
If you want.
Move the pendulum. What was it called?
Planchette.
Move the planchette.
Sounds like Italian food, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Planchetta.
I'll have the vegan planchette, please. Spirit, come on. Use our bodies.
Oh, don't say that. I don't know some spirit.
Take possession
I
of
don't
Rick.
consent.
No, don't take yourself to me.
Tell him on to me. I don't consent.
I don't consent either.
Look,
V.
all right, this ain't working.
How do you didn't give it a chance?
Goodbye. I've put it down on goodbye. Thank you.
You are so paranoid.
If there was a spirit here by chance, thank you very much.
Well, guys, we've talked a little bit about Keanu Reeves already this month in our last episode, so I would like to invite you guys to tell us what is your relationship with Keanu Reeves?
I think with Keanu Reeves, I think he is the sort of person that obviously has done many, many different roles, all completely different. But as an individual, he's still quite an enigma. I don't ever think we're ever going to know the real Keanu Reeves. There's still this aura of mystery about Keanu Reeves. And I think that personality-wise, he seems to change over the years with his personality. I think the first time I ever saw him, Bill and Ted, Excellent Adventures.
Yep.
And that Keanu Reeves is nothing like any of the other Keanu Reeves in the other kind of films. I know it was
With the exception of Bill and Ted Face the Music, where he very much was that Ted.
I haven't seen that film.
Oh, really? I liked it.
Yeah.
I do feel like the Bill and Ted Keanu Reeves is probably the closest to the real Keanu Reeves. I think that's his most genuine role.
Yeah, it's like he's actually got a bit of a personality there. You know, he's not so
Charming.
kind of dry and sterile. Do you know what I mean? I think post-Matrix Keanu Reeves, you're into a different type of Keanu Reeves there.
Well, then that's a different Keanu Reeves again from the bearded one we have today, though.
Oh, yeah, we're very much
Bearded
stuck with
was
bearded Keanu Reeves
yeah,
right now.
this will be bearded Keanu Reeves now until we get old man
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, but have you seen him without the beard in the new Bill and Ted? It's,
Not beard.
It was a
weird.
bit-
There's a reason the beard's there.
It was
Yeah,
a bit jarring, wasn't it?
Odd. You know, I think that's one thing. I think if you establish yourself with a beard, I think your face sort of changes. I think your face sort of says, "Oh, we don't need to develop around the jawline anymore. The beard's going to cover it up." And that's what happened with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
He stopped developing facially.
That's a really good way of looking at it.
The different stage of Keanu. I think you got Bill and Ted right up to He was in Dracula, wasn't he? So he was in Dracula.
Yes, he was.
A very wooden Keanu in that one.
I think that was the
opposed to
end
the
of the
others.
Bill and Ted era, Keanu.
Yeah, it was.
I think he was just because I think. Do you know what I think? The thing that changed Keanu, okay, he was acting with Anthony Hopkins, okay, during the making of the film Dracula. Anthony Hopkins called Keanu to one side. I can't do the accent, but
He's
boy,
Welsh, isn't he?
boy, he would have called him, boy. Oh, hello, Anthony. Hello, boy. I understand that you
Is that right?
you were in a Bill and Ted film. Yes, I was, sir. Yes, I was. Listen, but it's time to grow up a little bit. Yeah, you've got to go into your next era now. You're ready. This is the last time you can be silly. What are you saying? I need you to be a bit more stoic, more dough-like, like an uncooked loaf of bread, bar of breath like we have here in Wales. We're not filming in Wales right now. I don't know what the conversation was, but I think that he probably looked at Anthony Hopkins acting and thought, yeah, it's time for me to sort of leave behind the whimsical young Keanu, and it's time for a new Keanu.
But this period that we're dealing with now, so we're talking about Speed today. I don't know if I've actually said that.
Yeah.
But this
yeah.
this period was the early 90s. Was he was moving away from that kind of teenage stoner kind of character.
Yeah.
And he just seemed to be scattershotting. He's doing a bit of Shakespeare. Yeah, he's doing Dracula. He's trying to do a British accent, and he's all over the place. But then in that he did Point Break as well. And it was like, oh, okay, maybe we've actually got a bit of an action star here. And
Yes.
Speed was the next thing that came along that really cemented him as a legitimate, like, A-list Hollywood star who could lead an action film. He beefed up a little bit. He cut off all his hair, and he looks hard.
He looked cool,
And,
didn't he?
and he's a whole new Keanu.
I think it's interesting as well, though, because at the time of when Speed came out, obviously, the director of that film, watched it actually just today, and the director of that was Jan de Bont, cinematographer on Die Hard, the Die Hard film. And if you look at Speed, we're just getting out of the 80s where that macho kind of Die Hard, Predator, these kind of like macho guys took over the entire screen. And I think that Speed came just at the tail end of that kind of 80s macho. And I think that what Hollywood was kind of looking for was maybe let's have these like kind of macho guys, but with a sensitive side to them as well. So I think when you kind of look at the film Speed, how he bounces off Sandra Bullock's character, he's not all over her. He's got the macho introduction to that film, but I think it offsets it by him being quite respectful and quite friendly and charming to lots of the other supporting artists that were in the film, the other individuals that were on the bus. So I think that really he kind of spearheaded that new way of how we look at a lead action character. It's okay to be macho and tough, but they really focus a lot of the sensitivity with Keanu Reeves' character in the film Speed. Look-wise, I mean, when you look at the very beginning of Speed, that whole intro, it feels very much like we're watching a Die Hard film. The villains are just evil for the sake of being evil. The action happens within the first 5 minutes. You know, there's kind of explosions, there's terror. We know that Dennis Hopper is the villain. We know that Keanu Reeves is the good guy. Jeff Daniels is like the older guy that's passing the torch on to like the younger guy. So
Jeff Daniels he's about 32.
yeah, but isn't it weird how it's 32? You look like an old bloke back then. He's already complaining about. He's already talking about retirement in the film Speed, and he's like bloody hell, we're older than he was then, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
I have already mentioned us retiring in this podcast if it makes it in there. So
It's kind of odd, and it's, you know, obviously you've got the cliche kind of performances in Speed. It's great to see the gentleman that played Miles Dyson in Terminator 2 being the squad commander of the LAPD.
Oh, everyone in this film was the tourist on the bus.
Alan Ruck.
Who keeps making comments about how he wants to see LA. And yeah, he's the guy from Succession now. He's like a big deal.
He's in Ferris Bueller. That's what he is.
And then you've got the guy, there's also a gentleman whose name is Maurice. The guy with kind of the long hair tied back, you know, the kind of bigger guy that's on the bus. You know, he that plays kind of villains. He's like kind of like plays predominantly bad guys. And in this one, he's Keanu Reeves' right-hand man on that bus. You know, he's just like he's the replacement Jeff Daniels temporarily on the bus for the time that they're there.
Even Jeff Daniels, I hadn't watched this film in forever when I rewatched it the other day just to kind of refresh my memory, and I had no memory of Jeff Daniels being in this at all. And to me, Jeff Daniels is Harry Dunn from Dumb and Dumber. You know, that's the movie I grew up with, and it was impossible to not see this as a kind of covert Harry origin story, because
This would have
he's
been the
called
year
Harry
after, right?
in this film as well. And the last we see of him is he gets blown up, and I just wonder if maybe
Suffered a
he
serious brain injury.
maybe he had some brain damage that sets him up.
I
would
think it.
love
I
it
think
if
it.
it's the
I
cat-
think it differently. I think Arachnophobia is the prequel to Dumb and Dumber. I think he gets bitten by one of the spiders and causes him to not be quite right in the head. And I think that Arachnophobia could be the prequel.
That's two solid theories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, Jeff Daniels. I mean, Arachnophobia, I think very much was the balance between bumbling kind of comedic character and serious peril circumstances. Whereas, like, you know, Dumb and Dumber, he's kind of just completely silly. But then when you look at him he's in the film The Martian as the head of NASA. He doesn't crack a smile once in that film. That's the other end of Jeff Daniels.
He's got a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah, I know he has, but it's like, okay,
Go around smiling.
Okay, what do you prefer? Would you prefer a funny Jeff Daniels or a serious Jeff Daniels?
I'll take a funny Jeff Daniels. What about you guys?
Yeah,
Everyone
I-
likes
I'd-
funny
I'd
Jeff
be-
Daniels more, right?
Yeah, I'd be 75% funny, but that kind of final 15%. I don't do maths. I want
25%.
I want 25% of serious Jeff Daniels.
Okay. And I haven't watched.
Well, I think we get a really nice balance in this because he's there to add a little bit of levity to these opening scenes because Keanu is playing it straight down the line. He is serious cop.
He has some good, funny quips in this. He has such classic lines as "I'm gonna go home, have some sex."
yeah, he does.
Stood out to me.
Yeah, you shot me in the leg. You get it?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Right from the very beginning of this film, there's that amazing... We're in an elevator shaft, which is an odd way to begin the movie Speed, which we've seen in the trailers is about a bus that won't slow down. The entire intro is what I can describe as the longest elevator shaft I've ever seen in any film. It's all that chrome metal. It does look like Die Hard. You know the ventilation scenes in Die Hard where he's listening to all the terrorists while he's like in the elevator shaft. I feel that the cinematographer who directed Speed was like, "Got to come back here and do this again." You know, I've got a great idea. Dennis Hopper kills a guy within the first 60 seconds of the film.
Oh, screwdriver in the neck. They're not messing about.
Oh, yeah.
We know what his character is.
I mean,
straight away.
Brutal, yeah. And he's not subtle with it.
He's not sold with
at
it.
all.
But then what he says
Why
is...
did he at least try and talk his way out of it
No,
first?
he didn't talk to me. Do you know what he did? He talked after he killed the guy. He stabs the guy in the neck, and then Dennis Hopper says, "It's nothing personal." What, did his ghost hear that or something? Silly Dennis Hopper. But immediately you know that this is a guy who ain't playing around.
We do establish sort of the first scene with the whole elevator shaft thing. We establish it. It's a buddy cop film at this stage. You know, you got Keanu Reeves and Jeff Daniels there as the kind of mismatched pair. One's very serious, one's a bit more witty. You've got the harsh but fair, you know, ass-kicking captain with a moustache and a cigar, who keeps telling what to do, but he respects them when it comes down to it, you know. And they are ultimately really good at their jobs. That's what this sets us up for. You know, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also it sets up Dennis Hopper. And what great casting, by the way. Dennis Hopper. If you need someone to play unhinged, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
In control, but also out of control at the same time.
I don't think even Dennis Hopper was actually acting. I think that they just secretly filmed him when... He can channel evil like nobody else. It's another level of evil with Dennis Hopper.
It's so, everything about the film is just so perfectly structured, I guess. It's just the kind of the regular beats of action and just cranking up the pace, letting it set back when you need to. But it just works. It really kind of captures a perfect script.
It really struck me on the rewatch, just like how much of a formula they'd got this down to at this point, but like done well. It reminded me of Marvel now, where like they've got a very clear formula. They know what they're doing, but it's a machine that's so well built that you know, most of those movies end up being pretty good.
It's sort of, when you look at like the Marvel films now, and I think that where a lot of the acting is kind of improvised and it's kind of very silly and in a way kind of like slapstick, where it's sort of like relaxed insanity. There's chaos going on, but they're quite chilled out about it. I think that style hadn't quite come in at this stage yet. We kind of basically, it mixed that kind of macho 80s kind of film of those one-liners and guys being tough guys, but then it slowly started going into this new type of acting where, you know, characters were more likable. They weren't just tough guys. They had like that kind of softer side to them. You know, when you see Keanu Reeves getting a coffee from that coffee shop after he's kind of received his medal for the intro. But I do think that it gets straight to the point. I think that it felt like the actors just kind of said what needed to be said. They didn't do these long like bits of dialogue. They just kind of knew what people kind of wanted to see, and it got straight to the point, but without it feeling like the characters didn't have some kind of depth to them.
It felt to me like an extension of Die Hard, honestly, because, you know, that is that kind of 80s macho superhuman man, but then brought down to a human level of, oh, he's not got any shoes on, he's kind of an everyman. It felt like an extension of that.
Yeah.
I was surprised, because like I say, I've seen this film before, but we're talking like 10, maybe more years ago, and I didn't remember how funny it was, how, you know, how much humor there is. Like almost every line is a joke on some level.
But I think at the very beginning we kind of like summed up when we said that every actor that's in this film is legitimately a good actor. Any of these actors could carry an entire film on their own, and they have done. And I think that's the great thing, is when you have an ensemble cast, is none of them seem to have like an ego. I feel that sometimes when you go to like the Marvel films and it's such a big ensemble cast, that there sometimes is maybe a bit of rivalry because they've all been given their own kind of standalone superhero film. But with this, it kind of felt like it was an ensemble cast, but every actor respected the part that they were given and didn't try and overdo more than was written for that character.
Yeah, there is a brevity to everything, but that works, and
not just the characters, like the plot, really. You know, that first 10 minutes at the start is there to set up the characters, so it's still kind of plot ready, and then after that, it's there's a bomb, there's a bus, there's a bomb on the bus. And I was amazed at just how much of that like Hitchcockian, you know, film theory there was in this film of, right, we know there's a bomb, we know the stakes, and now we're just going to amp up the tension. And I guess the difference between this and Hitchcock is that Hitchcock never did it for, you know, an entire film.
And that's what I was saying, like about it keeps hitting these beats of these action beats. Okay, what's the next thing? And what's the next thing?
How are we going to make this sharp turn? How are we going to do this? How are we
But it maintains a sense of reality in as much as it's kind of a Hollywood reality, but it never has to go too far with it. Okay, the tube train bursting out onto the road, like, we've gone big at the end. But basically you're on the journey, you're buying into every step. And it keeps just taking you one step at a time.
If you think about that opening bit that happens in the elevator, that could have been a film all on its own about a group of people trapped in an elevator with several bombs that are going off, okay? You've seen the trailer, we know it's all about the bus, and suddenly we're seeing a hostage situation in an elevator. It's unexpected. We don't think that this is what speed is going to be. And
elevators aren't even that fast.
They're not that fast, no. But the ones in here are when they break the cables and stuff. Thinking, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was just a big lift that I saw in the trailers then. So you're confused.
What I really like, they acknowledge that lifts have brakes in them as well. Typically in these movies, they'll cut the cable and the thing goes, and I'm always there like, but that's not how they work. And this one, they actually had to damage the brakes as well.
That's why we know that if we're in an elevator and it goes, we can be like, calm down.
Yeah, we've seen
fine.
speed.
Brakes gonna kick in.
But our buildings aren't that high in the UK, really.
No, this is too close.
Well. Talking of, I mean, this is a movie that couldn't take place in the UK because you would drive to a roundabout.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was going to mention this actually. Ever since watching this film way back in the 90s, it's always in my mind when I'm in a car, and particularly now when I'm driving myself. I'll often think, if I got locked at this speed and couldn't slow down, how would I get out of this situation?
Well, like if your cruise control...
Say my cruise control speed, too.
Bit of
trivia. No, but say my cruise control got stuck. I do think, like, how the fuck would you get out of this?
Yeah.
And in the UK, you're right. Roundabouts coming up wherever you are in probably not much time at all.
And if you're on the M4, you're okay up until Swindon and then the traffic.
Sorry, I'm going off on one a bit here, but my solution I worked out to that is you're locked in at your speed. Your best choice is to find one of those metal like barriers at the side of the road. You know when they come in, and there's slope upwards before it becomes. So
Yeah.
you go up that ramp,
Ah.
both wheels off the ground for a
Yes.
bit. That's how you get out of it.
Because that's the one thing.
No, because then you'd have to just drive along on two wheels on the
Yeah,
side.
well,
Yeah.
for the rest of the
and there's
film.
no
That
bomb,
would be
so
really
we
good.
haven't got that to worry about.
No.
Yeah. Well, would the bomb would presumably not have gone off if they just tipped the bus over, thinking about it, because the
True.
wheels would still be going round really fast.
Hmm.
But remember, in this film, he's watching them every time, so he
Oh,
has
yeah.
control to explode it.
Yeah, whenever they come up with any kind of idea, they go, "No, he would have thought of that. We can
Yeah.
do that."
Absolutely.
well,
I would say
Okay,
you
then.
don't know that he would have thought of it. Chance it.
This begins. This is where I think this film began a new era of action films. Is as soon as we've had that whole opening scene, the first thing we see is Keanu Reeves. He's not in his LAPD gear. He's just Keanu. I'm walking down the street. He's
Day
got
off.
his shirt off. It's a hot day.
Casual Keanu.
Casual Keanu. CK. Calvin Klein. And
Fragrance.
he's going into his favorite coffee shop, and they all know him there. They're like, so what's his name? What's Keanu's character's name? Jack, isn't it?
Jack?
Jack.
Yeah.
Jack.
Jack,
Like,
yeah, Jack,
hey, Jack. He goes to do a coffee shop. Weirdly, the bus driver, which isn't the bus that we see, but another bus, parks up the bus to go and get a cup of coffee. You know, like bus drivers do, yeah? They park him up on the freeway in America, and coincidentally, the guy that runs the coffee shop is the son of the bus driver. It's like, well, this is a lot of information in a really quick scene, and Keanu Reeves knows all of them. I've come up with a new terminology for this, okay?
Yeah.
It's called a sprinkle of humanity, where you haven't got enough time to develop a character that much, but just sprinkle a little sprinkling on top of a character
Okay.
for enough for when they do die.
Yeah,
we
make the
feel-
audience
we
care.
Go, damn, that guy was great. The way he spoke a bit.
You know,
and-
that little sprinkling implied he was probably a really good guy.
Yeah, and Keanu Reeves is going to miss him a little. You see, it's enough that Keanu Reeves' character won't go to the funeral, but he will think about him later on that day. Going, this is for you, John.
Do you know what? That's the thing, though. It's like that's something I really hate. Like not that as a writing device, but in real life, people who like know the name of the person who sells them coffee or the bus driver. It's like, all right, Jeff, how are you this morning? Like, fuck off. You pay me to give you coffee.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
You don't care who I am. Stop pretending you have a sprinkle of humanity.
If any of them try,
absolutely.
if someone in a coffee shop tries to introduce themselves to me, I say, please,
Yeah.
just don't.
It's quite interesting, though. I mean, so immediately that
I
first
don't.
bus gets blown up. And now, the thing I never get in these action films, okay, is obviously Keanu Reeves is not, I don't know if he is working, is he off duty? It's never really kind of seen if he's just taking a break or something. But when that bus explodes, he's not in a cop uniform, but he runs to the bus whilst it's on fire. So anyone around there should go, hey, was it that guy? Was it him? They run to him and they look around. No one else around you is going to go, no, I know him. He's Jack. He's friends with the guy in the coffee shop. He is legitimately a policeman.
I like the idea that the bus would have exploded. He would have looked at his watch and like, well, I don't clock on to 20 minutes.
Yeah, leave it be.
Just gonna
This is my
finish my
shift,
coffee, guys.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those situations where if you do stuff with enough like authority
Yeah.
and look like you're meant to be there, people won't question it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He does. It's sort of like he runs to the bus. The other police aren't there yet. You know, to all the people that are watching and witnessing that bus on fire think that it was Keanu that did it.
I don't know.
The first thing should everybody get back and
Maybe
he
they
gets-
think he hasn't noticed.
He gets very close
Mate,
to
it's
that
not-
bus. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't know that bus hasn't got more fuel in the tank to blow it. We don't know about the reserve tank. It could be a reserve
Buses have a
tank.
reserve tank?
We
don't know.
the buses have reserve tanks. More of a
Find that
plane
out,
thing.
please. Is that right?
So the plot has kicked in.
Yeah.
The bad
There's
guy,
a bomb on the
Dennis
bus.
Hopper,
Yeah.
he tells him there's a bomb on the bus. Go and find the
If
bus.
the bus goes over 50, it arms.
Yep.
Once it's armed, it can't go under 50 or it blows up. Needless layers of complexity to
Yeah.
how that works, but it makes it so tense when you're watching it. It's brilliant.
I think 50's the right speed because it's nothing crazy. It gives
Yeah.
you just enough time to think, oh, fuck, how am I going to get around this?
But obviously, yeah.
30 would be a bit easy.
All right, yeah, it would have to blow up quite quick. Yeah, I suppose that the 50.
I mean, I live in London. I've never been on a bus that's gone over 11 miles an hour. So it wouldn't,
You'd be fine, yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to go over like 20 in London.
Every single bus may be armed.
Yeah.
He'd have
Wow.
to. I mean, if you did that, but you're watching on camera, you'd have to go, look, it's meant to be 50, but I've still got the trigger here, and I know you're not going to hit 50, so let's just
Yeah.
say 15 miles an hour, right? You got to
Yeah.
go faster than that, or I'll blow it up remotely.
Yeah. It's kind of odd because we find that
Need an
Dennis
honesty
Dennis
system.
Hopper is in the car at the beginning of the film when the first bus does get blown up with Keanu's coffee pal, bus driver.
Yeah.
But then when the bus with the bomb, that if they go over 50, he's at home watching the various TV monitors in his room. What is the range on his triggers that he's got? Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's like,
This was 1994 as well.
yeah,
wasn't it?
I mean, you know, if you're living at home and like they're like miles away from you, like, you know, a good kind of 5-hour drive away from you, is that little trigger really going to reach?
Did
all
we
the way
find
over
out
there?
where he got this gear from?
Well,
Is it just in lockup?
Yeah, no,
was it?
but that's why he was a bomb disposal.
Oh, so
police,
he's
he
just
knows
been
about
swiping
bombs.
bits.
Yeah, he knows about bombs. You know, but it's interesting. I know. I liked how you said it was like very Hitchcock, this film, because the idea of you're on a bus and if it slows down, you can sum up this film with a very unique sentence. You know, which is if it goes over 50, if it goes under 50 miles an hour, the bus will blow up. You sum it up in one sentence, just like a Hitchcock film. You know, which can kind of like just be summed up. It's a one bizarre scenario which is packed full of tension. You very much are in a hostage situation on wheels. You know, you are these people are trapped, but it's kind of like still traveling. It's a very, and I can't think of anything that was done like that around the time of when Speed came out. There was nothing.
Well, yeah, we haven't even mentioned, or we have very briefly, but we've not properly mentioned Sandra Bullock, who you know, they show getting on the bus, but she doesn't normally get the bus. She's not even meant to be there today.
No, she does normally. She must get the bus because she knows the driver's name, and he knows her
That
well
is
enough
true.
to have a little kind of, you know, when your friend is coming in the car and then you just drive forward 4 feet every time you get to the door.
Yeah,
That's just America, though. They all know everyone's names.
she
That's
yells
what
at
they're
the bus driver at one point to speed up because they're stuck in traffic. She yells at him, "Can we not just go around or go on this?" It's like there's other people on the bus and you don't know them at this point. But she's great because Sandra Bullock's performance in that, I think, also adds to this kind of getting out that era of the 80s kind of action flick where she's tough on her own. Do you know what I mean? Like she's not fully reliant on Keanu Reeves. You know, she's
driving the bus.
Yeah, she's got an important role and she's doing it really well. And he trusts her role. It's not like, hey, come on, I better drive. You know, he doesn't kind of like, he's not derogative to her. He's not like sleazy. It's just like a really nice, he understands she can handle this. I'm going to let her handle it despite her gender. And that's a great thing. You know, there's no...
Yeah, even at the end when they, you know, they have to get them together because they're the lead man and the woman, he even says, like, are you sure you want to get together with me? Because this isn't like, this isn't going to be a healthy relationship.
She asks for consent. What a great guy. Like...
But yeah, it is. I think it is a lovely character actually, and obviously Sandra Bullock. This was kind of what made her a bit of a she was an up and comer.
Yeah.
But this is an up and comer role. It's not an established actor role because on paper I don't think there's enough there. You know, she's not in it for the first 20 minutes. She's just sat driving a bus most of the time. She gets a couple of good lines, but I think. Like I read something that Julia Roberts was offered it and she turned it down. And you think, yeah, Julia Roberts in 1994.
That would have been good. Yeah.
This isn't enough for her. She's a lead. So I think this was just Sandra Bullock was perfect because she was just at the right level for all this. And she's not some young kid, you know. You feel like you have the confidence in her as a character, and I think the actor needs a bit of more gravitas to do that. You know?
Absolutely.
And yeah, you're right. There's like a bit where they decide they're going to go round the corner. There's a sharp corner. He's like, oh, right, we're just going to go around it. And she's the one that says, well, no, we'll tip over. And he has to go, oh, yeah, you're right, we will. Let's figure out what to do about that. It's not just him solving all the problems. Like, she is part of the process. And yeah, you're right. I like he doesn't just jump up and then go, all right, love, get out of the way. I'll do the driving. It's like, she jumps up and gets behind the wheel when it's necessary. And he just lets her get on with it because he can just stand next to her kind of looking handsome and stuff.
Yeah.
So I do. I quite like it because this film ultimately doesn't have many female characters.
No,
but at least the one they put in is a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. She's not waiting for Keanu to come and save her. Like if Keanu Reeves wasn't on that bus, or if he died, she would know what's at stake, and she would still take precedence and try and save all those hostages that are on that bus.
So you reckon they'd have been all right anyway?
Yeah, I think she would have found a way to save them. You know, I think that if you just had her on the bus after the driver got shot, and then somebody from the police was communicating through the bus radio and said, "This is what's at stake," she could have carried the entire film, it being about her trying to keep this bus up to speed, which it wouldn't. They're very much kind of quite well written characters. That the fact that they do try different scenarios. Like, what if we do this? What if we do this very early on? It's not like a typical film where the obvious solution is decided 1 hour into the film. Immediately he doesn't believe that there's a bomb on the bus, so he goes underneath to kind of have a look what bomb is under there. Again, Jeff Daniels now, because Keanu Reeves shot him at the very beginning of the film, cannot go on the mission with them. He phones up for bomb advice and says, "Oh, listen, this is what the bomb looks like," and Jeff Daniels is able to support him from a distance. He's basically working from home. Like he's doing early lockdown.
so ahead of its time.
Yes,
and this is important because it's clear, certainly in the first scene that we set up, that Jeff Daniels is kind of like, the old hand. He's seen it all before. He's got a bit of a wry wit about him, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Whereas Keanu Reeves is a bit more the plucky kind of like, let's just run into it head first and see what happens kind of guy. But he is really street smart. He's always assessing the situation. He's like, something's not right here. Why has this happened? Why has this happened? He's always thinking. Not intelligent, but street smart, I guess is something.
They're not stupid characters. They are really legitimately trying to figure out a solution to this very bizarre problem.
And it's remarkable that it's just a series of problems to solve. It's, how are we going to turn here? How are we going to get the bus to this bit? How are we going to deal with this other obstacle coming up? The fact that they're able to kind of do that one after the other without you feeling fatigued from it, like, oh, I'm worn out from this tension, like it just amps up, and then the next bit's slightly more tense.
It's a stressful watch.
Yeah, yeah, but it's great. Like I'd say right up until they kind of this does the talking about action movie formula. It does it to the letter, which means that there are two endings. There's the actual conclusion of the story, and then there's a bonus ending where the film goes on for 20 minutes too long, and you have to kind of hunt down the villain and do a second ending. So I would say that at that point maybe the pacing and the tension kind of is let down a little bit, but other than that it's remarkable how well it kind of just keeps amping up the tension. And
we actually missed the bit of even Keanu Reeves getting onto the bus is very exciting. The fact that he's got a pull up. Fantastic. He gets into that car with that other gentleman in that super fast sports car, pulls up next to him. And how do you say to a bus, there's a bomb on your bus, you have to slow down when you're already going at over 50 miles an hour, you're on the motorway, and then right in that shot, I've got to say, is absolutely phenomenal, where the gentleman that Keanu Reeves is in the car with gets a bit of paper and writes bomb on bus, okay? And the gentleman holds it up, but the wind blows the bit of paper out of the gentleman's hand. It literally slaps onto the front of the bus right in front of the driver. And that shot where we slowly zoom in on the driver's face, he realizes, oh my God, I see why they were trying to kind of stop me. Absolutely. It's so perfect because it doesn't waste too much time with getting Keanu on that bus, but it's a very interesting way of parking up as close to the side of the bus as you can. But they did something different here where Keanu Reeves says, I need to borrow your car, but keeps the owner of the car in the car with him.
And again, he's a great little supporting character.
He's Glenn Plummer. I'd completely forgotten he was in this until I watched it again.
He's in Speed too.
Yeah. Oh, is he really? No way. Yeah. As the same character?
Yeah.
My God, I didn't even realize.
We'll get onto it properly in a bit, but basically in Speed 2, so at the end the boat is crashing into the coast and it's the big action scene that you all came for. There's a beautiful moment where he just walks out and says something to this woman he's with, oh, I just bought a condo here, for God's sake. And it's so funny. And then they completely ruin it by then having an action scene where the guy who replaced Keanu Reeves has to commandeer his jet ski.
Oh, what?
and he has to drive a jet ski with him on it.
That's amazing.
To catch some speedboat, and it ruins the whole thing. But nice to see him back there.
Yeah, but he's a good little kind of minor character. Again, little sprinkle of humanity. Great, yeah. He understands what's at stake. He doesn't put up any resistance. But I think as well, it's because Keanu Reeves doesn't yell. He points a gun to him, but Keanu Reeves, again, balances that I'm a hard ass, but I'm also sympathetic very well. He kind of yells, but in a polite way. You know what I mean? He points a gun at you to tell you to do something, but in a polite way. But even when he gets on that bus, very, very clever. You've never seen a new film now. When he gets on that bus for the first time and he says he's police, there's that individual who's obviously a criminal. We don't ever know what that guy did. Thinks that Keanu Reeves is on the bus to arrest him. So even Dennis Hopper hasn't even come into question yet. He's almost like taking a back seat as the villain. It's like, what? Hang on, what is going on? You know, it's like, is he working for Dennis Hopper at this point? It's a real surprise.
And that's kind of what I mean with it just being a series of these like Hitchcockian tension scenes, one after the other. It's all of a sudden he's got to diffuse the situation with this gun drawn on him with this guy. You know, it's like a little micro story in and of itself, and the whole film just kind of feels like those one after the other, but in a way that doesn't feel disjointed. Or
I do feel we never really get a resolution to that, because obviously in the course of the thing, it's like, okay, we understand he didn't mean any, because he ends up shooting the bus driver accidentally. So we understand he doesn't mean anything by it. They kind of all just let it go in the moment. But, you know, he's going to get arrested for that.
Of course he will. Later on, he will be like, first of all, you shot the guy, but also what have you done to make you so paranoid and on edge?
There's no way that gun's legal. He's not got a permit for that.
And they do take the gun off him, I believe.
They do, Well, Keanu puts him in handcuffs, doesn't he? Keanu Reeves puts him in handcuffs, but then when we get to the bit that obviously we're going to get to where they jump the gap, Keanu unhandcuffs him for that bit and says, okay, it's safe to say, right, have you learnt your lesson now? Right, go on, back at the back.
No, I really like that bit, because it's like, they don't bring much attention to it. He just unhandcuffs him. He's just like, look, we know we understand the situation now. We know you're not going to be in trouble. Also, this will just rip your hands off if we crash.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Keanu's got some humanity. Humanity sprinkles. He, doesn't want him to break his wrists.
I think the thing that, with Speed is it's a daft situation, but the actors take it seriously. Whereas films nowadays, it's a daft situation and the actors act like it's a daft situation. Yes. But we really feel that since sort of Stranger Things and obviously the new Ghostbusters film, I think we're very much onto this like kind of new path now where it's putting the danger back into films again, where have the kids or have the younger people take the situations completely seriously, like they would have done in a film like Speed. It's okay to have the quip one-liners, but the way that I look at those quick quips in Speed is more to kind of deal with the stress of the job as opposed to just being silly because you're in a silly situation.
There's no point in Speed where a character says like a bomb on a bus, seriously?
Yes.
Which is like the Marvel way of doing it. Not to throw Marvel under the bus, but they take the situation seriously, and then there's just some jokes dotted around in the mix. Whereas I think that what Marvel has kind of done to Hollywood, like, is that films like this now they'll have to call themselves out for how ludicrous it is within the film, so you then can't go and write a snarky review saying how silly it is.
They're protecting themselves.
There is a specific moment in Speed when in the elevator sequence, and we've got Jeff Daniels and Keanu Reeves kind of Jeff Daniels riffing and being the funny one. Keanu Reeves is like, no, something's wrong. We need to do this. Jeff Daniels makes a joke, and then there's a moment where he kind of looks at him, realizes like, oh no, he's actually really being serious, and then he switches on and he goes, okay, what do we do? Like, and that's what it needs. It's like, okay, yeah, we're kind of having we're all policemen banter, but actually this is a serious job and we need to kick in sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the characters recognize when it's important to stop being silly and the things that need to be kind of like taken seriously, like you just said. And I think as the kind of film goes on, the more twists appear throughout the film. So I think the one changing kind of moment in the film as well is where you find out that Dennis Hopper's character has actually put a hidden camera on the bus. So no matter what the characters were doing, every step of the way, he's always watching them. And it's interesting. When I watched this film again, knowing that there was a camera on the bus, when we see shots of Dennis Hopper in his home lair, you do see a quick shot of the screen with the individuals on the bus. So it was right there at the very beginning of the film that you see it's them on the bus, but obviously you don't notice it until obviously the film kind of draws attention to it. But that whole scene it's like you've got these little kind of moments in the film that if you expanded on them, it could be films on their own. Like, what a great thing to do, knowing that you've got a camera on the bus, and what they do is they loop the footage only by 1 minute to try and confuse Dennis Hopper to think that he's still watching it. And what's insane is that's a nuts idea, but again, Keanu Reeves takes it very seriously. he tells everybody on the bus to look straight ahead, keep very, very still, don't move, so that we can trick Dennis Hopper to think that he's just watching, us just enjoying
the bus ride. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, weirdly, I think that's like the most iconic or like most parodied scene in Speed. There's episodes of The Simpsons and stuff where they do that looping the CCTV footage trick, and it's an odd moment to pull out from this movie about a bus driving and things blowing up.
Because we were talking about this earlier. It's like, wouldn't Dennis Hopper look at that thing and say, God, they keep driving past that same that same group of bushes. It's like an old animated Flintstones.
It was the 90s. They didn't have HD TV yet. It was
But what
definition.
quality? Again, considering how far away Dennis Hopper is from this bus, the quality and the signal he is getting is insanely good. It's incredible.
Yeah, you'd see that. And if you were watching that, you'd think, yeah, fucking hell, they've really calmed down, haven't they?
Yeah, it's like the look on all their faces. Keanu Reeves is like, they're all looking straight. They're not doing any expressions.
They just accepted
They've
it.
accepted death.
Or just politely waiting for
But
the
then
next...
that stupid woman drops her bag, and that's what spoils it. She drops her bag, and then they loop before she drops the bag, and that's how Dennis Hopper notices, hang on a second, that bag isn't a ghost. It can't just appear on the woman's lap.
That's not how it works.
She should have said, can we do that again, Mr. Reeves? I dropped my bag. They do manage to get all the hostages off the bus because that time loop thing works. They're looping the tape and they do get the... Now, driving to the airport...
Not what. One of them dies at the start.
The woman. Yeah,
there is
the
a
woman.
bomb.
Yeah.
The other female character. In
That's right. That's right. Now, her death, when she dies in that one, again, a little sprinkle of humanity. We did feel bad. I think it was that woman's sacrifice that made everybody else on the bus really believe that this is a real threat.
That's why Dennis Hopper presumably put a little smaller bomb on the bus, along with the...
A warning
the
bomb.
real bomb.
Yeah.
The warning bomb, yeah.
Let's just think about this for a second. Dennis Hopper went to the bus and put the bomb on the... When did he do this? he
In the night.
He went there, linked it to the speedometer.
Yeah. He did it in the night.
He linked it to the speedometer. And this is the other thing. That bomb is beeping every time there's a close-up shot. Every time the red light flashes. Beep, beep. That guy in the middle of it. Morning, Ralph. Oh, hey, Sal. You driving the 27 bus today? Yes, I am. Hey, can you hear a beeping noise?
It's like fucking John Matrix's watch in Commando, isn't it?
Yes!
We've established that bus drivers do go and just grab cups of coffee while they're out driving the bus in this world. So I'm guessing he made use of one of those little coffee breaks.
Yeah, you could say, hey, go get yourself a coffee. I'll just check your bus.
Yeah, what's in the bag? Oh, just my bus tools.
There's a deleted scene somewhere of Dennis Hopper like climbing over a chain link fence to get into the bus depot in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Just falling over the other side, twisting his ankle, and he's pissed off about it.
Or some sort of flashback, towards the end of the movie where he explains how he did it.
Yeah.
Well, what I did, right, a few nights ago.
What I did, right?
And then it cuts back.
Well, Dennis,
like what I did.
I've got to say, I've never seen so many close-up shots of a speedometer as I have in this film.
No.
And I imagine that was given to that was probably the last thing ever done. I imagine the camera guy was like, listen guys, the rest of the cast and the crew got to go. Can you stay on an extra 2 hours? We've got to get all those shots of that speedometer going at 50, going at that, shake the camera a little bit. Lots of close-ups of the speedometer.
Yeah.
It's probably one of those things where they actually built a giant speedometer that was like...
Yeah.
I'd love to see the speedometer they use. This massive... Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
With a runner sort of turning it round.
Yeah, around the back.
Yeah.
Well, can we address the... Oh, look, we're on the motorway, but there's a big hole in the motorway.
Oh, the gap. Yeah, come on. It's leading up to the gap. Right, so what they say is, okay, they're on the highway, and they find out that there's a bit of the highway that didn't get finished off. 20 foot's worth of road that didn't get finished off.
They're just one day from finishing it off.
But the guy has a map, and he says, but the map doesn't say that there's a gap. So, looking at that film, that's the only bit of the film that I think lets itself down is there is no way, as they're driving, it turns around slightly to the right, first of all, so it loses speed. It loses the film's title. It would not have gone over that gap In fact, when you see the shot, even before it's left the first bit of road, the front wheels are already off the ground.
The workers had helpfully built a little ramp there for them.
Yeah.
So, well, we haven't got time to finish this, but pop a ramp there just in case anyone
Why?
does come
Because,
down.
yeah, you'll see. But yeah, I don't believe that it would ever work. Sandra Bullock doesn't even quite get to 70 miles an hour. And by turning a gap, plus it's a heavy vehicle, there's at quite an incline.
Hey, and I've just thought of my solution to get out of this whole problem real easy.
Please, I'd like to
While I'm
hear
on the
it.
bus, this is my conclusion. Great movie, but in terms of getting around the solution, you drive the bus into some water, a lake, somewhere wet. Bomb gets wet. Can't go off if it's wet. Day is saved. And then
That's interesting.
Dennis Hopper would be like, wait, hang on, what's that? Fucking water. And then gets his device out. Oh, it's wet. Won't go.
Or would the
Dangerous
water
though,
not...
because in LA to get to the water, you're going to want to go to the sea. But to get to the sea, you've got to drive across a beach.
You were, yeah.
Another
Stop with the
solution.
sand trap.
Keep the wheels spinning on the sand. So at 50 while
Yeah.
everyone runs off the bus as quickly as they can.
Or this is my solution. When I watched this film today, this is what my solution. So we're going to give solutions, okay? My solution
all right.
would have been to get two forklifts, one at the front of the bus, one at the back, and lift it up. Because the speedometer doesn't know if the tires are on the ground or not. They just regulate the rotations of the.
I actually thought they were doing that at because obviously it'd been so long since I watched it. I thought when they got to the airport at the end, oh, they're gonna drive it up onto
A giant treadmill.
But lift it up, just keep that going. But they covered their backs, didn't they? Because they had Dennis Hopper had a hidden camera. But
Yeah.
that was conveniently good quality picture, considering how far away they were from Dennis Hopper. But honestly, I got to say, guys, this film for me absolutely brilliant. When I watched it, I was like, for one, I couldn't believe how good the acting was. In between the scenes of the action, the bits where Keanu Reeves is talking to Sandra Bullock and asking how she's doing, and the way that he actually talks to the hostages, and really, without saying, I'm not going to leave you guys alone, he doesn't have to say that. The way he looks at them, and he's like, how you doing, and everything, and he's like, how's everybody doing? He checks on the people that are on the bus. It's so well acted that's what sets this apart from any other typical Hollywood film.
The chemistry between those two was good enough that that's pretty much what The Lake House was. Someone went, oh, they were good together in Speed. Let's make a romance out of that. But no, I mean, we always tend to rate the films out of 10 at the end. So
Okay.
I guess talking about how great it is a good transition into that. So I mean, I'm just going to say, I remembered really liking this movie a lot when I last saw it. So I went in with high expectations, and it was better than I remembered it. I really was impressed. It was fantastic. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I thought Speed was brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. We did a little thing. We looked, as part of Keanuvember, we looked at sort of his whole career and like what are our favourite films and stuff.
This is
like
my
that.
favourite Keanu Reeves movie, hands down.
Having rewatched this now, this is my favourite Keanu Reeves film. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. I probably would give it I'd say an 8, 9 out of 10, because I think, I always kind of, when I give something like a perfect kind of film, I think 8 or 9, 8.5, I'd kind of give this film.
Well, I was going to
Yeah.
go with 8 myself. It's a film I've watched a bunch of times, and edge of your seat, high octane action. I recommend it.
Are you reading from the video box there?
Did you there was a guy who was trying to collect every copy of Speed on VHS in America, I think.
God,
I
really?
was reading about it a while ago.
He'd made it his mission. He had 500 copies of Speed on VHS, and he was just trying to buy every single one.
I
That
feel that's still
existed.
several hundred
I
thousand.
know. It's a long way to go, but thanks so much for joining us, guys. It's been great. Some great insights and some great fun along the way.
High octane fun.
Yeah, high octane fun. Is there anything you would like to plug?
Before
I think the only things that we could plug, obviously, Nightmares from the Discotheque is our band. We still are doing music. We still enjoy kind of performing. We've taken sort of a bit of a stop from that recently to pursue our TV pilots and various other things that we're doing behind the scenes, but we're still kind of friends, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
The big one.
This week, well, this month's big takeaways are Ghost Show Drunk Ghost Investigations on the Irrelevant Media Group YouTube channel.
Nightmares from the Discotheque, go and check that out. And Irrelevant Media Group, which is our short films. We do a show called Lads Night In, where we drink a lot of beer and we review children's toys like Make It Kits, which is a very interesting show. We've got Christmas special coming up, 12 Days of Christmas, where we review stocking fillers. That's coming up very soon.
Investigations.
Drunk Ghost Investigations
the big show.
is the big one at the moment. But again, behind the scenes, very, very soon, some TV stuff is really going to start. And
It better do.
It better do. It's slowly getting there. But yeah, lots going on, guys. And we love what we do. Still got all this energy to do it. And yeah, it's always a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, amazing. I want to discuss, Alan.
Yeah.
We know our favourite Keanu Reeves movie. We've covered the man himself. We've extensively done. Anyone who wants to hear us doing more Keanu Reeves talk, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/DimReturns, where for as little as £1 a month, you will get access to loads of bonus content. For £3 a month, you will get our Diminisodes, bonus episodes, and it's Keanuvember. So, all month, all November, we've been putting out Keanu Reeves Diminisodes as well.
Keanu themes.
Yeah, one of which is just like an overview of the man and his career. So if you're itching for more Keanu Reeves, head over there now. Because I bet you can't wait for Keanuvember 2022. That's 12 months away. Just kidding. Alan, I wanted to talk to you about what we're going to do next year for November.
Right, is this our new thing now?
Yeah, now we've established that we do stuff every November. So I've got some ideas for you. Do you want them?
We know November?
That's one of my ideas. We know November. Go on, let's see how many more of these you can tick off.
Okay.
I've got a lot written down.
I'm just trying to think of anyone's name that ends in a sort of N vowel sound. Oh, Paul Danovember?
I've got that down here, yeah. Paul Danovember. That's the last one I thought of on my list. There's a lot that we could have done, but we've already done it. So we could have done Quentin Tarantino-vember.
Okay, yeah.
But we've already done the full Quentin Tarantino career filmography in a series of 3 episodes that didn't come out in November, sadly.
What a waste.
We could have done Christopher Novemberlin. Again, the full career of Christopher Nolan, but we've already done it. We did 3 episodes about him last year, I think. And other ideas. Nintendo-vember. We've already done Super Mario Brothers, but we could do we could do Detective Pikachu, The Wizard, the Animal Crossing movie, something like that.
I'm not a big fan of that one.
Bilbo-vember. We finally get round to the Hobbit movies. We do all of them. But we call it Bilbo-vember.
No. Oh, Al Pacino-vember.
Al Pacino-vember, that is on here.
I tell you what, Pacino-vember could be the one. We could do 3 kind of the different Pacino eras.
I have a favourite choice, and you're probably going to fight me on it, but I'll tell you my favourite at the end.
Okay.
Volcano-vember. We do movies about volcanoes. You've just been to one, so we could do Pierce Brosnan's Volcano.
4 days ago, I was at a volcano that was erupting. So
exactly.
Yeah,
we could do Pierce Brosnan's Volcano. We could do that Werner Herzog documentary made where he goes to a volcano.
The one with Tommy Lee Jones did one.
Oingo Boingo-vember. We look at that early Danny Elfman movie he did with his brother.
Weird science.
Pornovember. We do a whole month of sex stuff.
Now we're talking. That's got legs.
Do you want my favourite one that I think we should do? Even though it's not the best idea, but I've got a soft spot for this idea. I don't know why. I think we should do Ray Romano-vember. Hey, it's me. Think of the comedy characters you get with Ray. We could add in comedy character Ray Romano, Ray Romano's brother from Everybody Loves Raymond, the dad one. We could do Ice Age. We could do The Big Sick. Anyway, they're my ones on the table. Romano-vember, Porno-vember, Volcano-vember, and Pacino-vember. Maybe we'll do a listener poll to establish what the next Vember celebration is next year.
Go down in history. Where they came from is still a mystery. Some other ship fighter laser. Man, what were they thinking? All of a sudden the planet started shrinking.
Need a job to claim to take away the pain.